Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Legal Gym Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to be talking about determining what trademarks you own. For the show notes for today's episode, which are going to include all of the links and resources for everything that I'm going to be discussing today, make sure you head on over to hawthornelaw.net/19. Before we get into the amazing content for today's episode, I did want to let you know about a new training I am working on. I'll be teaching my 4R framework to get your trademarks registered quickly and easily. In addition, I will be sharing the top 3 mistakes I see online entrepreneurs make that can sabotage their brand and even force them into bankruptcy. So if you want to sleep better at night knowing that your brand is protected, you don't want to miss this training. Just head on over to hawthornelaw.net/trademark to get notified when the training is live. One more time, that's hawthornelaw.net/trademark. And don't forget, everyone who attends this training is going to get a free gift. So if you're an entrepreneur who's building a brand online, this is one training you do not want to miss. One more time, head on over to hawthornelaw.net/trademark to get signed up for the notification list today. All right, so most people, and before I get into this today, I do want to apologize. I'm a little under the weather. My throat is hurting me a little bit, so if I sound a little scratchy, I apologize for that. But I thought this was a really important episode that I definitely wanted to get out today. Most people think that they don't have a trademark because they haven't actually registered anything with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. They have this false belief that when you go about the process of registering a trademark, that's when you actually get the rights to that trademark. So obviously that is faulty thinking. So what I want you to understand is that you actually own a trademark as soon as you begin using it in commerce. You don't have to file a federal registration to actually own the trademark. You have what are called common law rights. But the problem with common law rights is that common law rights are actually limited in scope. So they're limited to the geographic area where you are using the trademark, and they're also limited from the standpoint that it's a lot harder to bring a lawsuit in federal court to enforce your trademark rights if you find that somebody is infringing on your rights, because chances are they're probably not, because you do not have exclusive rights to the trademark in all 50 states. You only have rights to the trademark where you're actually selling your product or services. And a great example of this is the Burger King story that I've told before. So there was a little mom and pop hamburger stand, if you will, it was called the Burger King, and it was in Mattoon, Illinois. And the reason I know this story is because my father lives in Mattoon, and when I was a kid and I used to visit him, we used to go to this Burger King. There's no actual, the Burger King that everyone knows about, the National Burger King, actually International Burger King, because there's one right down the street from where we live here in Lisbon. The National Burger King does not have a presence in Mattoon, Illinois, and the reason they don't have a presence there is because this small little mom and pop Burger King joint started that business, but they never registered the trademark. So they retained the common law rights to the trademark where in the geographic region where they were actually operating their store, but they did not have rights to that name outside of that geographic region. So when the Burger King, actually the Burger King that everyone knows, registered the trademark for Burger King, they had a trademark dispute with this little mom and pop Burger King store and reached an agreement where the mom and pop Burger King would have the rights to use that Burger King in that geographic area, and the National Burger King would have the rights everywhere else. So some of the benefits to actually registering your trademark as opposed to just retaining the common law rights are that you know you're not infringing on anyone else, because when you file that application, the examining attorney is going to do a search of the trademark directory, and they're going to see if there's any other names that are likely to cause confusion with the mark that you're trying to register. And if that's the case, then they will deny your registration. So you know if your trademark actually goes through and does register with the USPTO, which stands for the United States Patent and Trademark Office, that you're not going to be infringing on anyone else, that you're going to have the exclusive rights to that name in all 50 states, which means that you'll be able to bring a lawsuit in federal court for trademark infringement, and all you have to do is show your certificate showing that you actually own the rights to that name. In addition, when you register that federal trademark, you're going to have an asset that you can license or sell to others much easier than if you just have the common law rights. I've told this story before as well, but I knew of an online entrepreneur who was building a brand on Amazon, and he decided that he wanted to sell that brand to somebody else, and the sale was actually held up because he had not filed for federal trademark protection for the name that he was using for that brand. And so as part of the due diligence process, they wanted to make sure that they'd be able to use that brand name without worrying that they were infringing on somebody else, and so that they could continue to grow and build that brand. And so they actually made him file and register the trademark for that name before the sale could go through. And this is a process that takes, back then it was taking about a year, maybe a year and a half. Now it takes a little bit longer than that. So this is something that, especially if you decide that you want to build a brand that you want to sell at some point, you want to make sure that you own all the federal rights to your trademarks. So let's talk a little bit about what trademarks you actually have in your business that you may not even be aware of. These are trademarks that you're actually already using that you may not be aware that you have, and you may have the common law rights to these marks. So obviously the first one is going to be the name of your business. The name of your business is going to be the biggest one that most people will immediately think of. And if you're thinking about taking the affirmative step of actually registering the trademark or registering a trademark related to your business, the name of your business is one of the things that I would originally start with, because that's going to be the face of your business. That's going to be your brand name that you're using. Now, I'm not talking about if you decide to name your LLC after your kids or use your initials in your LLC, something like that. But I'm talking about what is the name of your business that is forward-facing to the public, that the public is going to be aware of. So in the instance of my business, Hawthorne Law is the name that I actually registered for the law firm that I'm building here. And so for you, it might be something completely different, but it's going to be whatever that name of your business is. That's the first thing I would think about registering as your trademark. Now, the name of your podcast or the name of your YouTube channel might be the second thing that you might want to consider actually registering for trademark protection for. Now, your podcast name or your YouTube channel name might be the exact same name that you're using in your business, or it might be your personal name. But if you decide to come up with a separate name for your podcast, like my podcast is called The Legal Gym, that's a name that I have not actually registered the trademark to that yet, but that's something I've thought about registering. So that's something that you can do. So if you have a podcast that has a unique name, maybe you've got the name of your podcast brought to you by the name of your brand, then that's something you may actually want to register as a trademark as well. Now, the next thing that you should think about registering when it comes to trademarks is your signature product or course. So chances are, if you are an online business and you're selling courses or you're selling coaching or you're selling a membership program or something like that, you might have a name for that the public knows. And this name might be different than the brand name for your business. So this is something you definitely want to think about registering the trademark for, so that you make sure that it's protected and you make sure that nobody else can sell a product or service under the same name as your product or service. And then finally, some other things that I frequently see from clients that they want to register with the trademark office include their slogans. So you might have a brand name that you want to register, but you also might have a slogan that you want to register as well. So if you have a special slogan that you use with your business, that's something you might want to register. Or if you have a unique logo that, like the Nike swoosh would be an example of a logo, or the Starbucks symbol, that would be another logo that could be used. So that logo doesn't necessarily have to include your business name in it. Sometimes it does, but that is another thing that you might want to think about registering with as it pertains to your business, to make sure, again, that you have that exclusive right to use that symbol or that slogan or that name in all 50 states, and that nobody can take that away from you. All right, all you Legal Gym listeners, now that you have more information about the main areas where you want to think about applying for trademark protection in your business, you're definitely ready to implement. Because if there's one thing we love to do here at the Legal Gym, it's to take massive action. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the show notes for today's episode. You can get a rundown of all the links and resources we talked about here today by visiting hawthornelaw.net/19. That's the episode number 19. And that's going to be the home base for all of your legal and business tools and resources related to this episode to help you start, build, and legally protect your online business. Thank you so much for listening today. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.